Hello, Antonio. It's Sony time, everybody. How are you, my friend?
Bom
Rolling out.
dia, alegria.
What you got there? Is that looks like a glass of Guinness?
It looks like it, right? It's
Yeah, it really does.
just an espresso, double shot to
Okay.
get me going early
Yeah.
in the morning. No shadinho, no shadinho.
Saint Cherinho this morning. So great to see you, Tony. I think you've been busy, haven't you, in this last little while?
Yes, I have
Where you
been.
been?
I was away in Georgia for 10 days on a trade mission, and just got back yesterday. So looking forward to getting back to the office and doing just it seems like when you're out, you have to make up 2 weeks work of 2 weeks
Yeah.
worth of work. Just catches up, but it's a good thing, and it's sunny here. The weather's perfect, so I love it.
Wow. So tell me, Georgia, which one? Georgia in the United States or
No,
Georgia?
Georgia, the country. Georgia,
Right.
the
Okay.
country. The beautiful
All
country.
right. Sorry.
No
No, I don't.
peaches. I get peaches from Georgia's the peach country, right? That's the peach
Is
state.
it?
Peach state.
Oh, I didn't
Yeah,
know
it
that.
is.
Okay, so while Florida's got its oranges, Georgia's got its peaches. Could you tell us a bit about Georgia then? Because I forgive me, I really don't know much about Georgia, and you kind of you kind of put it on the map for me when you said you were there.
Yeah, I tell you, I felt like at home.
Right.
Here's something wild and crazy. When Portugal becomes unbearable to live in, then we all move to Georgia. They have this great
Okay,
history
plan.
of great wine culture, the people. I felt like I was at home in Portugal, really. It was that amazing, and there's a lot of work to get done in the country. Imagine Portugal was about 20 years ago. That's how the country was in getting their infrastructures, but a lot of going on and building, and it's a beautiful country. I was in the countryside. I was in the wines district, even near the Caucasus Mountains, everything, and really, really outstanding. I came with the positive, and the people are so friendly. It really is. It's what a great place. I'm so happy to go there. But I went there also with the um, meeting up with friends, and even with our president, the National Association of Realtors president Kenny Purcell was there, and a few of the global ambassadors and everything. So it was a big event for the real estate with the Georgian National Association of Real Estate. That's why I participated. For
Oh,
me, work in real
yes.
estate, work and traveling is the same.
Yeah, clearly. Georgia, a country at the intersection of Europe and Asia, a former Soviet republic that's home to the Caucasus Mountain villages, as you said, and Black Sea beaches. It's famous for Vardzia, a sprawling cave monastery dating to the 12th century, and the ancient wine growing region, Kakheti. The capital, Tbilisi, is known for the diverse architecture and Masalike cobblestone streets of its old town. So presumably you took that in while you were there.
hmm I took it all
Amazing.
in. It's
Yeah.
beautiful country, lots of opportunities. Definitely, we're as realtors, as brokers, we're always looking for places where to invest. Where's the future going? You always got to look ahead in the future, and it is the future because they are European by all standards, in my opinion. They are not part of the European Union yet, but they will be. Question of
Yes,
time.
it is a
Question of time.
question of time, isn't it? And I think a question of transforming our understanding of that part of Europe as well. I've said this before, Tony. That growing up in the UK and being like bang in the middle of this whole sort of EU experiment. In the UK, you think that Western Europe is Europe, and we forget, don't we, that there is such an incredible rich tradition and history over in Eastern Europe. And how interesting it becomes when it meets Asia. Something I don't think we know a lot about, but from what you're saying, perhaps we will get to know more about that in the coming decades.
Yeah, without a doubt, Carl. Eastern Europe, you have countries like Serbia, Montenegro, Croatia, okay, Georgia, all around Moldova, all those former USSR countries, and in that region, beautiful. And you talk about you have the Dead Sea, you have actually the Black Sea, right?
Mm.
And just lots of Georgia reminded me of it. Where of Dominion, literally. It's so green, riverside, mountainside. They don't have the ocean. Well, they have the Black Sea. which is pretty, it's that amazing. Really, I'm getting goosebumps. I'm missing that place. Really, I mean, I love Portugal and I love the people too. But when you feel at home, like wow, you're so far away because they really are at the crossroads, and that's what makes it. They have millenniums, thousands of centuries of history and culture. When especially with the wine, I've always been fascinated because many people have told me the wine. I love always experimenting, getting to know and culture and people, and wines is definitely culture. And when you
Yes.
have a wine processing or wine culture of thousands of years, it seemed like Portugal is nothing when it compares to that. It really is, And
Really?
Georgia, the word Georgia, you know what it means? Like you have geo, right? Geographic,
Yes.
etc. And Gia means agriculture. So it's the land of agriculture. And you're caught
I've
up
heard
there.
this. Yes.
Lots of agriculture. Okay, Georgia. So the word is the country is about agriculture, really is. And what's beautiful about it, I think it just reminds me of definitely of the Minho region because you have the green. It's very green. We took a train ride from Tbilisi to the Batumi, which is on the Dead Sea on the coast, and in between you see like, man, this is like northern Portugal. I mean, without a doubt, the rivers and everything. The people are so friendly, and the food is great. I mean, everything. There's a lot of construction going on, a lot of
Is there?
development. Lots. Great, great, great place.
Very, very interesting. And you know what? I'm hoping that the development of the Europe of the future will be people led. That it will go beyond this whole sort of saber rattling thing of the superpowers and NATO and the EU, and that there will be more people's associations and professional associations on a smaller scale that lead this rather than the sort of horrible political shadows that seem to be cast when we're talking about East meeting West and the former Russian states and so on. How was it among the people? Were people excited about being part of a wider Europe? Did you get into those sorts of politics?
Yeah, we did actually. We met the president of the Expo Georgia, also the economy minister was there, talking to there was somebody there from the European Union that has to do with more on the real estate end,
Yeah,
linked as well. We talked about, and the people, they're very welcoming. They feel part of Europe. They really do. I mean, that's the thing. Like there was this connection between us. It really was, and between me and them. It was just so warming. Like you feel like you haven't left Europe at all. That's how really you felt.
that's
Um,
so good to hear.
and that Eastern, as you rightfully said, the Eastern European countries, they are the future of Europe, and it's a question of timing because when you talk about Romania, the Bulgarias, etc., all these countries are developing, right? They're growing, and
Yeah.
so there's lots of opportunities there. And we as professionals always got to look out for where's the future, where's the investments, where the infrastructures are going to grow. They are like maybe I say it about 15, 20 years ago, what Portugal was. If you remember, Portugal was like a third world country back then.
Mhm.
20, 30 years ago. I mean, getting around and traveling around, and they're still in that phase, but the people are extremely happy with just the project that they have with the European Union and getting into it for them overall. I didn't mean to, let's just say everyone I talked to, nobody was not against Europe or being part of it. And as you rightfully so, all that stuff, it should be more people based and not, government based and NATO's and this and that and all that stuff. I'm
Right.
just, you
Yes, I
know,
mean, John makes a good point here, and we will talk about Portugal soon. But I think this is really important from a geopolitical sort of bigger point of view. We are in Europe here, and these issues are important, and we can be part of shaping this future. Joel Denort saying, and we'll see you at 9:30, John. Georgia seems a little too close to Russia for me. Perhaps one day they might want to reacquire the homeland of their native son. Stalin, kidding, kind of, and these are the ideas we've grown up with, aren't they? Red's under the bed. I know that Eastern Europe has a very poor a kind of PR often among in UK where I grew up. It's a bit like Africa, how we were given these terrible stereotypes of whole cultures reduced down to just horrible limiting ideas and perceptions of people. So I hope there's great work that can be. Well, it's up to us to do it, isn't it? It's up to us to reach out people to people and transcend these sort of limiting political ideas and having our lives shaped for us, I think, rather than shaping them ourselves. So when are the Georgian delegation coming? On that note, when can we have a drink and something to eat with them in Portugal, Tony?
well, definitely I'm already planning to go there for next year. We did a
Right.
10th year anniversary, and I might be bringing a few Portuguese people and friends and investors there with me. But definitely Georgians are asking me already, like, when we want to come visit Portugal, because as I was talking to them about our beautiful country, they
Yeah.
were just fascinated because they don't know what they don't know. I didn't know what I didn't know, and you have to go there and you have to see it. Don't
Sure.
whatever you read on paper, read on TV. You know what? Go there. Before you make any judgment calls, you have to see it. You have to feel it. And they felt my passion about Portugal and living here. The last 22 years, that when I would say that I feel at home, they felt, you know what, we got to go visit you. So hopefully soon, and I'll keep you posted about it for
Oh yeah,
sure.
and if anyone wants to call into the show, from Georgia, who there, and we can do a little bit of our own exchange or twinning. The twin town thing was always great, wasn't it? And twinning of cities, so that you get that cultural exchange. If we can have our version of that, your friends in Georgia are very welcome to come in onto the show and tell us about themselves and their country, and vice versa.
Oh, beautiful! They would love to. I think sharing that their country with the, for us, we're all ambassadors, right?
Yeah,
You, me, and
absolutely.
anyone here in Portugal,
Yeah.
living here, that loves this beautiful country. We got to consider ourselves ambassadors, okay? Because if you
Yes.
don't, then get out. That's all. If you don't support and love the country, then find your
What are
home.
you
Find
doing
your
here? Yes. Yeah,
what are you
absolutely.
doing here? So we all got to be ambassadors, and we got to love and defend where we live. Because if you don't feel that way, then it's time for you to find a place to call home. This obviously Portugal isn't for you, and they love their country too. And that's the thing, and but they're always open to like saying, okay, a lot of them would be very interested in our golden visa or even passive income visa, retiring here
Yeah.
because they would want European passport. They're going to be part of the European Union in the next 5-6 years. I don't have a doubt about it, or 8 years. I don't have a doubt about that.
Yeah.
And so they're going to have their own residency programs. But until then, wouldn't it be great? Hey, Georgians that can come move to Portugal, etc., retire here as well, have that quality of life, and then they can move back after they have all the infrastructure set up there, because they still have to grow a little bit about that. In terms of getting around from one place to the other, but there's so many opportunities. I actually went to see some houses when you say the Caquete region, that's like the wine region. And I
Okay.
have some clients, friends, right, that they moved here to the Minho. And when they found out I was going there, they always had their eye looking there to invest there. Guess what? They're already in touch with a few of the realtors there that I made some beautiful connections with, and looking at investment properties, like older houses to buy and to renovate. You're talking $25,000-$30,000, because they were on a dollar-based economy. Okay,
Yeah.
and you hold on to them. You may not remember, Carl, but I remember distinctively 30 years ago, you could buy old houses, 25,000-30,000 euros, or at the time wasn't euros, but you can buy them that within like 5 years, they would double the money of what the value of people looking at Portugal. You know what I mean? So it's in that phase, and it's still lots of opportunity. So I have no doubt that you'll see, you'll be hearing more about it, not only from me, but from many other people in a
Well,
lot of
I've really
European
enjoyed.
countries.
I really enjoyed this part of the conversation today. I think it's so important. And Joao saying there, Joao de Norte, definitely nothing against the Georges. I knew that, John. Absolutely, it's the government of their neighbour I'm suspicious of, and that isn't that the funny thing, because I think again that's maybe what people all around the world say about each other, isn't it? I do, some people live in fear of having an American democracy visit as well, don't they? From time to time, it's all a matter of perception. And how people have been brought up and propagandized and politicized, I think, as well. So
Well,
very interesting, very interesting.
Carl, centuries ago, we used to fight off Spanish incursion here in the Mino. Now it's encouraged. We're always worried of our neighbors.
Who doesn't like a Spanish incursion first thing in the morning? With a little glass of Moscatel. I've got to tell you, I discovered
Alhamdulillah.
Moscatel last night. Yeah, thanks to, I know you've got this up in the Douro, closer to you. But this is the Stubal Moscatel. I hadn't tried this before, Tony. Another great secret of the winemaking industry of Portugal. What a
Yeah,
fabulous
that's
drink
in
this is!
Setúbal.
Yeah,
That's in Setúbal. Up here in the north, you have Favaios, which I'm
yeah, that's
actually.
right.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. And Favaios is an actual brand, or it's a region. It's a city. It's a city called Favaios, and we're actually going there May 27th. Part of our trade mission is going to the Douro region. We're going to go on a boat ride and visiting a beautiful farm that they make Favaios. Have lunch there. What an exciting event! That I think I've mentioned it before, and I'll do that shameless plug. But the trade mission, we still have 4 seats
Absolutely.
available. Four
Oh, okay.
seats available. Discovering the Minho, Porto, but basically Porto's only 2 days. We wanted to keep our focus on the Minho and northern Spain, and really great opportunity. If anybody's still interested, we still have 4 seats available, and they are our realtor
Who's
friends.
allowed to be on that? Who qualifies for such a trip?
Either anyone that's interested. It's not a holiday, because if you want a holiday, we're not tour guides. Well, I am a tour guide, but we're showing real
So,
estate. We're showing the region. Okay, we don't focus too much on the real estate itself, but we show the regions, the wine, the culture, the people, the food. We're visiting of quite a few wine estates as well, getting to know why should be the Minho your part of the region to live in. So we're staying at this beautiful palatial home here in Vila Nova de Cerveira. It's just for us for the whole 5 days there, because it's 7 days, right? So 2 in Porto. And you get to learn about all the process, buying from A to Z and everything in between. You have a lawyer, you have our loan brokers, you have imagine everyone part of our team that you need to get the transaction completed will be there. So it's a learning experience as well. And it's for realtors that want to establish relationships with us for referral based partnerships. Okay. And as well as some of those realtors are investors themselves, and some of them are looking, and I'll have them on the call after they complete the transaction, because they're going to be buying here. They want to live in the Minho. After 6 months, a year of talking to them and discovering, okay, is it the Algarve? Is it Lisbon? Is it Porto, etc.? No, Tony, we want to be in the Minho. That's where it is. And after sending them information. So people don't know what they don't know. And me and John and a lot of others that know this beautiful part of the world, it's nothing else like in Portugal. Even I think the only thing you have to think about, okay, the only thing that's different from the rest of Portugal, you know what it is? The weather. That's it.
well,
Everything
that's
else is
what I
the
want to
same.
talk to you about. That is certainly one of the things we want to talk about. I talked to John briefly about this. I was in the area for the first time, taking in Ponte Lima at the weekend. I could see you were out of the country, so you and I will tour a bit more of the north at some point in the future, I'm hoping. And the weather thing came up, and I think it needs a bit of myth busting. We've started this process with John, and do you think it puts people off going and exploring the north of Portugal because they think it's going to be too cold for them?
No. Look, become a rain bird. Buy a property here, buy a holiday property in the Algarve or in Madeira for 2 or 3 months, and you can get away from the rain. There's no better place in the world from, say, March up until the end of October. Let's just say. So you have November, December, January, parts of February, etc. But even in that time, okay, our weather is characterized by rain. Okay, so it's colder in the morning. It does rain a little more, but guess what? That's why everything is so lush and green. Don't
Yes.
compare the green of Portugal in the center or in the Alentejo with our green. Our green is lush. Okay,
Yeah.
it comes from the rain. The grapes, the wine, okay, the Alvarinho and other parts, the Douro Valley. The rain is essential. It's part. There is no snow unless you go up to the high mountains, but there is no snow, and it's characterized by the rain. You have sunny days in the middle of February, okay, January, February, where it's like the coldest, of course, but you have days that can get up to 15 degrees, 16 degrees. That's like in your upper 50s, lower 60s, right?
Yep.
Of course, in the morning, you have to leave with a jacket, okay, or a sweater or something. At nighttime, when the sun goes down, you got to have a jacket or come back home. And, it's that simple. But it's other than that, it's a beautiful weather. And you know what's amazing about this region, in addition to the weather, where people, you like it or you don't like it. Of course, if somebody lives in Southern California all their life, they're not going to like this region up here because they want to be warm climate all year round. Okay. But think about it in the summertime when you have those hot days, which can go up to the mid 30s or upper 40s sometimes, and you have those heat stress. We don't feel that here, which is great, So in the summertime, and I love it because, there's no better place for me in the world to live than the Minho from, say, March to the end of October. So you have to find a place for 3 months, visit your family in the US or Canada or anywhere in the world, go down to the Algarve, go to Morocco's, go visit Georgia as well. I don't know, go somewhere warm because that's
Yes.
probably it. I'm in shorts pretty much all year round, Carl. So,
I've heard this about you. Yes, that your reputation precedes you on that matter, for sure. Well, thank you for that clarification. And whilst people are saying, yeah, it's cold, that it has to be remembered that all of Portugal is this cold country with a hot sun, and that you do need to take your jacket or layers with you. It's all of Portugal is quite changeable in that way. The temperature ranges from morning to midday and then into the evening can vary drastically, and that is all of Portugal. And if you like seasons, I mean, this is the great impression that was made on me. If you like seasons, and if you're a Brit that would miss the seasons, for example, and of course this would apply to Americans as well. Do you know Pont Lima and driving around in that beautiful granite-faced part of the country? It is very different. It has its own very special flavor, appeal, spirit up there. It is the most like the UK in terms of, the countryside and how it looks. And when you're walking in the lanes of Ponte Lima, it is the most like the UK I've experienced in all of Portugal. And it felt very familiar. And I can see how, if you like seasons, it's ideal, absolutely ideal. We had most of them in the one day that we were there on the Saturday. It was cloudy and drizzly in the morning. But that was beautiful because it was a cloud enveloping the mountain ranges. We went into town, it drizzled a bit more. Then the sun came out, and you couldn't get naked enough. It got really hot in the afternoon there. So it's like Frank Sinatra, isn't it? If someone said to Frank Sinatra, "If you don't like the British weather, wait 5 minutes." There's a bit of that going on, I think, in the north as well.
Absolutely. The four seasons, I'm glad you brought it up. I love the four seasons. When it's spring, when it's summer, fall,
Yeah.
etc. And that's something that, I think, it's psychologically for me, like I can't live in a place where it's warm all year round. It's just, then I probably need to move to Brazil or something, but it's, it's a beautiful place. One of the, we don't talk about it as much. We talk mostly about Portugal and the mainland, but you have two beautiful islands, okay? The Madeira Islands, okay, you have a phenomenal weather all year round. And even then, in the island of Madeira, for example, you could go in the same day, as you mentioned, but from the high point where it could have a little bit of snow and cold. And as you go down, it gets warmer and warmer and warmer and warmer. So even Madeira has a nice, beautiful mix of weather. The Azores, imagine Ireland and Hawaii mixed together. That's how beautiful Azores.
Yes.
And that, I can't put it any other way. I've been to Ireland and I've been to Hawaii, and the Azores is just that natural paradise. The weather there is also great. And you're looking at a subtropical climate. Bananas grow on the island of Madeira, of course. They're famous for it. So, and the Azores is just a natural, beautiful paradise. And the weather may be attractive there. And even here, I always say, like, you really go, it's the best way to do it, unless you visited Portugal quite a few times a year. Okay, you already have friends here living close by. You know what it is. And everything about moving here is first about the lifestyle. And it has to do with the weather. That's the most important thing. You know what I say to people? Rent for 6 months or a year. Get started on the D7 visa process. You need a year lease agreement. Don't buy anything. There's plenty of time to discover Portugal. And you'll figure out that place you would want to call home. And whether it is, but give it a shot, because I actually, maybe after we close a transaction with her, Marceline is a client that we help move from Northern California. And she's living in Setúbal. That's where she wanted. Setúbal was for her after 6 months of almost a year of talking with her, discovering where to settle in. So we helped her find her a place to rent in Setúbal. And after she's been reading and following up on more of the northern part of the Minho region, she says, this is where I want to live because of everything that it has. The quality of life, cost of living. I'm sure that even when you went out with John, you were there in Ponte de Lima. It's a little more affordable than probably anywhere else in Portugal. That I can guarantee you. Even when you go for the dish prato do dia, or for dinner, or for a coffee, or a simple beer, or a glass of wine or something, the cost of living, everything is a lot cheaper.
It's very classy as well, though, Tony. That's what I noticed in Ponte Lima. It's this is a place. Another stereotype prejudice, perhaps, is people think the north. The northern stereotypes abound wherever you are in the world. I think it's the same in the UK. It's a bit grim up north, and people are a bit poorer. That is may well be the case on some levels, but Ponte Lima, if you take Ponte Lima as an example, it's a luxurious town, isn't it?
What about Viana do Castelo? Viana do Castelo, which is next door, it's one of the most beautiful cities in northern Portugal. I mean, yes. I have no problem saying that. Viana do Castelo, the whole coast from Viana all the way up to Valença. You have Caminha, you have Vila Nova de Cerveira, you have Valença. Even though when you go further up, it's all along the Minho River. Like I said, there's so many. Even you go in further, Arcos de Valdevez, that whole region. But Ponta de Lima, Ponta de Lima is interesting because it never gave up its city status, so it has. It's the village as the oldest village in Portugal, and it's
Yeah.
a beautiful, quaint little village. I mean, and you have a mix of it's trendy, okay, bars, nightlife, restaurants, great entertainment, great everything, culture, everything. There's no shortage of anything. Maybe 40 years ago, everything in the villages and stuff was a little more hard to get to or things or to do,
Yeah.
etc. There's no shortage of anything there, and
And
when
there's a
you
lot of money. You can tell this is
oof,
a wealthy part of the country. Like a compare and contrast to the island Asia. You can see that there's an agricultural past where people have lived in quite difficult circumstances. Excuse me. And that may be true, of course, up in the north, but there is a definite sense of wealth among the families, the older established families who ran things, I think, in the north of Portugal. And you get it. You're driving around this great sense of luxury in the hills. And, the thing that sometimes shocks people when they're driving around central Portugal or the island Asia is the amount of dilapidated and neglected buildings. Not so much in the north, I noticed, certainly not around Ponte Lima.
without a doubt,
Yeah.
up here, it's kind of a masqueraded wealth.
Yes.
There's wealth. It's hidden wealth, right? They're not flaunting it, but
No,
you
no.
could see it. You
Yeah.
could see it by the homes. You could see it by the way that the renovation projects. You could see that holiday makers. A lot of people that live in Braga, Porto, in the bigger cities, and even more southern, they have a holiday home here. A lot of beautiful palaces that have been turned into hotels, etc. So you can see
Mm.
the luxury all abound, all around. And it's not, as you say, dilapidated. There are some villages interior if you go, but when you're around the major villages of like Ponta de Lima, Viana do Castelo, and all those bigger villages, I mean, it's just all been completely renovated. Thank good for the foreigners and Portuguese. That it's not only foreigners, but the Portuguese that live in the cities that want a holiday home and they buy these old rustic houses. They want their children to play with they want in the ground, in the grass, and be with the
Yep.
chickens and the goats and the sheep and everything. And they love getting away from the city life into that rural country. They want their children to see it, but be a part of it. And that's what it offers, in my opinion.
It
And that's
certainly
why
does.
people love it.
And here you are. Look, you're talking about Viana do Castelo. Thanks, everybody, for your wonderful comments. Sarah, loving Tony. Love that. Love where you live or find a new home. So before you go today, look at you bring beautiful property. And this is what gives us, on Spain Speak, somebody was saying, that Good Morning Portugal show, they're just selling luxury homes to rich people. Well, guilty as charged, perhaps, on this occasion. However, luxury homes to rich people, these are incredible value as well, aren't they? If this is the style of home that you're looking for in the wonderful Viana do Castelo that Tony's mentioning here. Tell us about these, Tony, before you go this morning.
Sure. This is a beautiful development in Viana do Castelo, right on the Lima River. Okay. And the Lima River also runs through Ponta de Lima. So you're literally 10 minutes away from Ponta Lima. You're close to you walk. Everything in this development is about quality of life. People, it's sort of a concierge service as a
Oh,
resort
really?
living lifestyle. It's
Yeah.
great for investing in it. You want to live there, that's fine. But if you want to buy something to hold on to it, that's somebody that you're going to be able to rent out. Yeah, you can see the whole development. There's over 400 units, 100 have been already sold. There's going to be a hotel there being built that even the homeowners are going to have access to use the hotel services like the pool, etc.
My goodness.
There is a river beach. Some of the apartments, like the penthouse, luxury penthouse apartment, has its own private pool. There's luxury. They're starting at 1 bedrooms all the way up to 4 bedrooms, starting at prices of 260,000 euros. And when you think about your ROI, the return on investment, renting out, it's a management company. You know what's great about this? You don't see it you may see it all over the world. This complex in the builder, there is an app on your phone. You want to walk your dog? I'll just, let me get it on there. You want to schedule a dinner reservation. It's all about a concierge service. There's a building there for not only a restaurant, bakery, health center, etc. For the development, okay, for all the people that reside there. And most of the investors have been overseas investors where they come out a few times a year, but they rent it as if a resort living. And you have a beautiful bike path. You can walk to the ocean. You can walk to the center. Viana do Castelo, the city center, is literally 5 minutes walking. It's a
Look at
beautiful
that
area.
view. That view is fantastic, Tony. You know, we when we left Ponte Lima, we drove home via Viana de Castelo, which is going further north, I think, to come back down. But we had to take a look, and it's incredible. Again, it reminded me of places in the UK with its, you know, where the sea meets the river, and that beautiful building up on the hill there, the iconic building of Viana de Castelo there. What an amazing development. Who knew? So get in touch with Tony for this and the trade mission that's coming up. So I've got putting your website address into the chat now, and Infinite Solutions, infinite-solutions.pt, where you can find out about the trade mission and this lovely development here, which Tony is involved in. Thank you for being here this morning, Tony. Always great to chat with you on your monthly visits. Fantastic sharing about your visit to Georgia as well. A last word from you, my friend, before you go.
No, just wishing everybody a happy Tuesday, and thank you as always for bringing me on. I love sharing anytime, and feel free to reach out to anyone that wants to know a little bit more about the beautiful part of the world that I call home, which is the Minho. And I love all of Portugal, but you know, when you have a certain connection with the land because of your heritage, your people, your family, that makes it all worthwhile. And definitely, you know, it would be a privilege. I'm going to be showing it to quite a few friends, realtor friends, investor friends, and 4 seats left in the trade mission. And we'll be closing it off sometime in next week or in early next week. So if anybody listening, do reach out. But thank you, Carl, as always, and look forward to not only listening during the weeks until next month when we see each other. And when you're here in the Minho, then we got to go to Spain too.
Oh, we will do that. We'll definitely come and do that. We had such a lovely time, and with the man who's coming up next. So that was Tony time for this morning. Our man in the Minho, Antonio Barbosa. Thank you so much, Tony. Take care. Ciao, ciao.